But thanks for joining me. My name's Nick Gibson. You might remember me from such things as the Nick Tosh, Nick Gibson Solves a Conundrum, Nick and His Brantford Friends, and Nick on Ice. But that's not all. Not only am I a fantastic dancer, actor, and figure skater, I also have a great presidential platform. Did I say platform? I'm an abs. Seriously though, we've had an eventful week. But this campaign isn't just about flash mobs and fun, it's about balance. Please, take a seat while I tell you more. My platform has 5 main pillars. The first one talks about the financial burden. The second one talks about having an academically conducive environment. The third one talks about having meaningful volunteer opportunities for all volunteers on this campus. The fourth one talks about sustainability on this campus through prudent business means. And the last one, of course, and the most important one I think, is the open presidency, where people, all students, feel empowered to talk to the president about their concerns, their input, and their ideas. Pillar 1, I talk about the financial burden. So the first one, I talk about taking care of our own house. When I say that, I'm talking about the turret in our business. The business plan for the turret is simply not working. We need to ensure in the short term that we are getting value out of the full week that we use the turret. And that means using study space during that time when it's not being used otherwise. For the long term, the turret needs to have a more viable business plan so that it is not a way on the student dollar. The second thing I have under financial burden is talk about the dining hall. The dining hall is currently not working for students, especially first-year students. First-year students who have meal plans are forced to spend 60% of their meal plan in one spot being the dining hall. Unfortunately, that dining hall has high prices, questionable quality food and service, and limited hours, and they lose money. Also, we also can talk about vegetarian options. We can talk about the quality of the food and the selection of the food. All of that feeds back to the fact that their labor costs are simply too high, and the university needs to get it under control. And it's our job as a student union to make them and force them to do so. The third thing I talk about is external advocacy. Simply put, the president needs to be actively involved in the lobbying that takes place with the federal and provincial governments. That means the lobby organizations we are part of, WLUSU and CASA, the Ontario Undergraduate Student Alliance, and CASA being the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations. We need to ensure that the president's actively involved in that because they have a lot to offer and represent for students on things like financial aid and the quality of education at our institutions. The second pillar I talk about is an academically conducive environment. I talk about study space, I talk about reading week and exam schedule, student to faculty ratio, safety, and the internet on this campus. First of them is study space. There are a few things within that. It includes opening up the turret, more comprehensive and accessible plan to ensure students can book space. WLUSU blanket bookings is also all part of that. But it also is a huge thing, advocacy, ensuring that the university is held accountable for ensuring that there's adequate space and safe space on campus for students to study. Exam schedules. Reading week is a big thing. It allows students to recharge, relax, get some work done, study for midterms. It's a big thing, de-stressing for students. It's very, very important. And our counterparts from across the country are doing it. The one thing we have to realize is that the exam period might get compressed a little bit, and that's why I introduce an exam schedule plan, what allows you to get your exam schedules when you are signing up for courses, so you have a little bit of flexibility to make your exam schedule. When I came to Laurier, a big thing for me was this small campus and this small university. Student to faculty ratio is a big thing. The problem is the university is constantly over-enrolling, and that means our class sizes are getting way too big and the faculty to student ratio is rising way out of proportion. We need to ensure as a student union that we are advocating for students to ensure that that student to faculty ratio remains small, and right now it is not happening. I will do that. Internet's a big thing on this campus, and I propose a two-pronged plan. The first one is the long-term plan. We need to ensure that we are advocating for students to ensure that wireless internet is reliable and accessible throughout the campus, including things like the science and music building, which is particularly bad. But there's also many other spots on the campus that are really, really bad. In the short term, we need to ensure that those two spots, like the science and music building, have Ethernet ports so that there's reliable internet available when the wireless is not working properly. The last thing I talk about is health and safety. Safety for me means psychological and emotional safety, but also physical safety. For health, We need to ensure that health services is actually working for students, and over-enrollment certainly isn't helping that. But for me, when I hear about students who are trying to go for counseling and have to wait 1 month, that is simply not acceptable, and the union needs to step up and advocate for students. But a meaningful volunteer experience for all students on this campus. I talk about ensuring that there's a culture of appreciation moving forward. I also talk about an A-team coordinator working for the students if it works in the new framework. PD&T, professional development and training, is also a very important tool in our union, and I want its profile to be raised and more resources going towards it because it's a huge asset for us. Greek life is also a huge thing on this campus, but it needs to be empowered because it has so many great leaders, and the student union needs to be there as a partner with them. And lastly, campus clubs on both the Waterloo and Brantford campus need to have some formal integration between them so that they and all students who are interested in clubs on both campuses can also participate. Is sustainable practices through prudent financial means. The first point is about waste reduction, ensuring that our volunteers and our workers are adequately trained to deal with waste. The second thing I talk about within that is ensuring that we have adequate facilities on this campus. For example, we don't have recycle bins in all our classrooms, and that's a problem. Second point I talk about is alternatives to bottled water. It's not only expensive, but it's also an environmental problem. So we need to provide alternatives, and that means water dispensers on campus. More of them, not just in the terrace and not just in the 2-floor lounge. And the last thing I talk about is the Sustainability Office and ensuring that there's some accountability for student money on the Sustainable Campus Committee. So WLUSU representation needs to be on that, and that's what I'm advocating for the short term. Moving forward, we can create a formal accountability mechanism. It's talking about an open presidency, empowering all students to talk about their concerns, their input, and their ideas. How I address that? Having a physical presence in high traffic areas once a week, just a couple hours, so students feel like they actually can talk to me. They actually feel that they can talk about their ideas. When I'm not there, there should be a drop box in high traffic areas. You can talk about your ideas, your input, and your concerns. What about documentation? Documents that are released to the board, anything that is released to the board unless it is in an in-camera session should be released and readily available for all students. And lastly, I need to talk about the Ask WLUSU tab on the WLUSU website. We need to ensure that it's a lot more prominent, a lot more used, and we can also look into having it on the My Laurier learning portal. If you have any questions and want to contact me, you can contact me through Facebook, Twitter, email, and even just check out my full detailed platform on the website. Thanks for joining me by the fire. It's been a pleasure having you tonight. I'll see you out on the campaign trail. You stay classy, Golden Hogs.